Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming together today to hear a little bit about the vision that we have put forth here for the school district, a vision that we hope will kind of take our school and our community through the next 3 years. This statement was developed through working with students, working with parents, working with staff, and really reflecting on my time here at Wilson over the last 20 years, trying to put into one sentence what we feel encapsulates the work that we have to do here in our organization to ensure that the Wilson School District and our larger community is a destination district, a place where everyone wants to be a part of, a place where everyone feels engaged. And this is what we came up with. The Wilson School District strives to create a place where students love to learn, employees love to work, and people love to live. It's a simple statement, but very complex as you start to break this apart. Easily could be placed into all students, all community members, or all people, and all employees. So this statement here will drive all of the work that we do over the next 3 years in the school district. And we're going to take some time to kind of unpack that and show you how we're going to approach it from a bunch of different angles. Before we do that, I want to review with you some statistics on who we are as a district. What makes us special? What makes the Wilson School District unique? So I'm going to go through some of these data points with you very quickly this afternoon. First, number of employees. We employ 1,084 people. It's a large school district with a lot of people that come to work every day to make this their home when they're away from home. Last year, we served 5,648 lunches every single day across our school district in 8 different restaurants, 8 different cafeterias, 2,843 breakfasts. Our schools sit on 270 acres of property. Think about that, all the land that our folks have to maintain and make sure is ready for students to be part of our system each and every day. Inside, our square footage is 1.4 million square feet of interior space, serving right around 6,300 students in 5 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and of course the high school that we're all in today. We have nearly 6,400 devices deployed to students and teachers, technology devices, Chromebooks, computers, so forth. And we have a total annual budget of $125.5 million. So that $125 million is the revenue that we received to run this system, to achieve our goals that we have established, and to ensure that all of you as students in our community have a great experience here in the Wilson School District. We're also responsible for transporting students, 3,800 students daily. And we own and operate a fleet of 71 buses and vans to do that. Our students in our school district are very diverse, and they represent a lot of different communities. Some of the data points that I think you'll find interesting here that show the changes over time here at Wilson High School and beyond is that our students speak 36 different languages. 36 different languages. Our population of some of our different ethnic groups here, we have established here and broken out. American Indian or Alaska Native, 0.4%, Asian, 4.51%, Black or African American, 6.91%, Hispanic, any race, 25.73%, multiracial, identified as 4.47%, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, 0.06%, and our white population, again, as self-identifies as 57.91%. So that gives you a little bit of a breakdown of the students and the families that we serve here. 33%, or 1 out of every 3 kids in our school, qualifies for the federal free and or reduced lunch program, meaning that they meet the poverty standard that is established by the federal government to qualify for that. So again, 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 of your friends, 1 out of the 3 of the students that you sit with in class every day. 4% of our kids are developing their language proficiency in English through the services that we have offered. And nearly 20% of our students are supported through a special education or IEP plan, some type of a disability that prevents them from being successful in school that we program for. And we support them in different ways. So now we're going to dive into those 3 vision statements a little bit more deeply. And this is the most important one, right? We're in the business of educating students. We're in the business of making sure students are cared for, challenged, supported, and loved. That's what we do. That's what we set out to do every day. That's why your teachers come into work every day. That's why they choose to work here. And I would challenge that that's probably why many of our parents choose to buy homes in our district. So here are some of the things that we're going to unpack. This one down here, Profile of a Wilson graduate, is work that we've been doing for 3 years. And some of you in this room may have helped us, going all the way back even before the pandemic, to develop some specific indicators. I'm going to talk to you more about that towards the end of this slide, but that's just a little teaser on what that is. Some of these pieces in here are areas that we're going to try to further enhance our program throughout the next 3 years to make sure that we're creating environments where students do love the experience. The first one is a whole child focus, making sure that we have an environment that creates a sense of belonging for all students, that there's some form of connection where students can engage and thrive. We do not want to have an environment where students just come to school every day to learn math, science, English, and so forth. We truly want kids to be engaged, just like all of you are, in different clubs and activities. So we want to make sure that we remain focused on that and not just the academic indicators. Part of that is making sure we have extracurriculars, clubs, and activities at all grade levels for kids to participate in. We do a pretty good job at Wilson in grades 7 through 12. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of activities for students. But we have some work to do in the K-6 environment, making sure that kids who are in the school day, who don't have access perhaps after school, have opportunities. But just today, or yesterday actually, we started to talk about more opportunities. Working with kids, what are things that we're not doing that perhaps will give kids an outlet and another way to engage? So we're committed to expand those opportunities for all of our students. Making sure that we're having more student choice, making sure that we're focusing on career exploration. That's an important piece. Just being college ready isn't enough anymore. For years, our district was solely focused on preparing college-ready graduates. Not every kid is going to go to college. Not every kid should go to college. So making sure that students not only are college-ready, but also have a career-ready goal, that they have career-ready skills that they can transition after high school and be successful. Amplifying student voice, making sure you have a voice at the table. That's a critical piece. You're our customers. If you're not satisfied, if we're not meeting your needs, we're not doing a good job. So making sure that we're expanding the platforms to allow you to have that voice and then listening to your voice and taking action on those collective thoughts. One of the most critical pieces is making sure that you feel safe, making sure that you feel secure, you have a sense of belonging in this environment, making sure that we're reviewing our procedures and our processes and adjusting them as needed as society shifts. Hopefully you've seen some evidence of that already throughout this school year. And then celebrating the wins, making sure that we're sharing the successes that you have day in, day out through social media platforms, through different programs in our schools, to make sure that we're recognizing all students. Again, shifting away perhaps from just simply, in years past, recognizing only students for their academic excellence. There are lots of other character traits that we see. Kids with integrity, kids with courage, kids that do the right thing day in and day out. We want to make sure that we shine a spotlight on them as well. So those are some of the pieces that we're focused on with creating an environment where students love to learn. Next piece is creating a place where staff love to work. This is a critical second piece, because if the people that work with you every day, the adults in your life here in our school, don't enjoy what they're doing, if they're not excited about coming here to work, we're not going to get the best out of them. I love what I do. I love working in this school district. I choose to work here. I choose to send my kids here. I want my kids to have teachers that care about them when they're not at home with my wife and me, right? So if we're able to do some of these things that are outlined on here, we are certain that you as a student will reap the benefits of that, right? Happy and supported teachers, counselors, nurses, secretaries will ultimately trickle down to making sure that your experience is strong. So this slide talks a little bit about that. I'm not going to go as in-depth on this one, but essentially what we want to do is commit to getting the best people on our team. We want to find the best people in this region. We want to bring them on through a lot of different programs that we have established and we need to strengthen, and then we want to make sure we're able to keep them. Once we get them here, mentoring them, give them the supports that they need to feel supported, making sure that they feel cared for, making sure they feel like this is a family environment. And then the pieces on the left here, making sure they have voice. Because sometimes there's things we have to work through, right? Sometimes there's disagreements. Making sure that we have the opportunities for them to have an outlet for those concerns. Again, safety and security is important. Our staff needs to feel safe, just like you do. We need to celebrate their wins. Our teachers do amazing things. Our coaches do incredible things. Our club advisors. We need to make sure that we're sharing that story as well. All of those moments that happen in our schools every day between you and our staff, we need to capture them. And those moments of excellence or the moments of triumph, we need to be able to share them out with our community, because that's the real Wilson School District. That's how we want people to think, or what we want them to think about when we're talking about our school district. Focus on the positives. Make those positives so loud that sometimes the negative things that pop up, people have full confidence that the next day is going to be better. So these are some of the things that we're working to do with our staff to ensure that they too love coming to work every day. And then the last tenet of this vision is to create an environment where people love to live. The people in our community are the ones who feed this system, right? They buy homes here, they shop here, they own businesses here. They're a critical component. For you, they're your parents, right? They're the owners of the businesses that you go to. But they're a critical cog in our wheel here. They're also our taxpayers. They're the ones that contribute when we need resources to get things done and accomplish goals. They're the ones that volunteer in our schools. They're the ones that run our churches. They're the ones that employ many of you in this room. So they're again, a critical piece to our school district community. So we want to make sure that we're adding value back to them. They're adding value to us by entrusting us with your care. We want to make sure we can do that in return. So we need to make sure we're communicating with them in a transparent manner. These are areas that we think we need to do a better job with. Everything you see in red is areas that we want to improve, okay, just to be clear. Making sure that we're connecting with them, listening to them, not just parents, but also the other stakeholders that live outside of our school district. Retirees, again, those business owners, other folks that we talked about. Making sure that we're creating opportunities to engage them. You know, this week we have our fall musical, right? We're engaging some of our elementary students. We're engaging, obviously, a lot of community members on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But what if we could do some things to expand into our retirement centers? What if there's ways that we could extend a hand and offer this access to an amazing performance for our concerts, our theatrical events, our sporting events? Those are things that we're trying to brainstorm around to further engage our community. Obviously, amplifying their voice, as we talked about a little bit with the transparent communication, making sure that they feel these two other pieces as well, that this is a safe place, a place that they can come to, and making sure we're celebrating their wins. Our community does amazing things. We have business owners, like I said, we have great police forces that support us and municipalities. We need to help share their story in the hopes that they then help share our story. They're partners in the work that we do, and we cannot be successful without them. So that's the approach we're taking to this when we talk about the vision. These pictures here really, I think, encapsulate some of what we're talking about. So a lot of these pictures were taken last year. Some of them may have even been taken prior to that. But when we look at them, what I see is smiles. I see mostly kids having fun, engaged in a variety of different activities at Wilson. All different types of students. You have events that are going outside. You have our senior walk. We have science classes. We have our youngest learners on the left-hand side. I see love. I see engagement. I see a sense of belonging. That's what we want to continue to promote. Just a couple more pictures showcasing some of the different things our community does to support our district. You know, spotlighting teachers that do a great job, spotlighting students who meet and exceed their expectations. Again, just adding value to and contributing to our ability to achieve these goals. So those are the three things that really outline what our vision statement is. Okay, again, create an environment where students love to learn, staff love to work, and people love to live. When you break that down even further, we developed these 6 strategic goals or focus areas. Okay, and we can tie them back to those vision planks. But for today, what I'd like to do is just very briefly review them with you. The first one is implement the profile of a Wilson graduate. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Again, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. Recruit, hire, onboard, and retain the best people. And those bullet points that are identified there kind of take you through the work that we're doing. Evaluate, strengthen curriculum, instruction, assessment, and the learning environment. We're in the business of education, right? We have to have goals around teaching and learning. So we are having a strategic focus right now on high school assessments. We know they have to get better. So we're spending the next 2 years digging into our assessments, whether they're essays, whether they're performance tasks, whether they're tests and quizzes. What types of questions are we asking you? Do they align with what the learning goals are? Are they just simply memorization type questions, or are they allowing you to synthesize and apply your knowledge in a more creative way? Do you have choice in your assessments? So I want you to know that that's something we've heard from students that we need to get better at. So we're diving into that deeply right now. In our elementary environment for the next year or two, they're focusing on the classroom environment. How do kids feel when they're in that space? How do they engage with the learning? How do they develop the skills that they need to be successful in school? So that gives you a little bit of a focus here. This goal is going to take years to accomplish, but we're starting that work right now. Down here, facilities improvements. Hopefully you all are aware that we have a strategic focus on getting a performing arts center across the finish line. Something that we had a lot of momentum on last year, and because of a lot of variables that came to a screeching halt. It's back. We're moving forward. We had our first presentation, which was approved by the board about a week or two ago, and we're well on our way to achieving that goal. The second piece is we're looking at our enrollment trends across the district. Our district is healthy. It continues to grow. We're growing by about 75 students per year over the last 5 years. So we need to look at that over time and be able to project out many, many years, perhaps even after you're out of high school, to make sure that we're ready. So those are large goals, right? Those are kind of big picture goals that we have to make sure we have our eyes on. Safety and security is a major piece. Maximizing our presence of security and police officers around our district, making sure that our technology is in place to ensure that students are as safe as possible, and all the other variables that fall under that. Out on my website, there's detailed information about how we're going to be approaching and assessing some of these goal statements that you see today. The last one that's on there on the far left-hand side is ensuring and demonstrating fiscal responsibility. I told you before that our budget is $125 million. That's a lot of money. But this is an expensive operation, right? There's a lot of things, everything we do here has a cost. So we are committed to ensure that our budget is meeting the needs of both you, your parents, and our taxpayers, making sure that we can plan out 5, 6, 7 years so that our organization remains healthy, because we need money to fund the system that we have. So those are the 6 strategic focus areas that we have established. The last thing I want to talk to you about is to go all the way back to the beginning, where we talked about creating an environment where students love to learn. And my experience here, and maybe some of you maybe this resonates with you to some degree. We are a highly academically focused school, right? Many of our students here push themselves academically, take a very rigorous course load, study for and prepare for assessments, both here in our school and perhaps college placement assessments. This is a big part of what we do, right? And for many years, I felt like we were like a machine, right? Just continuing to produce students of high academic caliber. However, what we've learned over the last 4 years is that's just not enough. Our students demand more. You deserve more from our staff than just the ability to get into college. So we started on this journey to figure out, well, what are other ways that we can measure success? And went all across the country, visited high schools all across from Texas to Michigan, Pennsylvania, and ultimately through a lot of work with a variety of stakeholder groups, again, parents, students, over 3 years, we came up with 23 different indicators that are research-based, supported by our local best practice, our understanding as professional educators here in this area, and develop those indicators. And they include things like 60 minutes of play for kindergartners. 60 minutes of play, meaning that a child that's 5 years old should have 60 minutes of their day that they're not learning the basics of math and reading and so forth, the core areas. It involves indicators to track student participation, because participation in theater and the arts and clubs and extracurriculars and co-curriculars is a research-based indicator that says that students that do that will be more happy, fulfilled, and successful in life. It's not just your score on the math Keystone exam. That's not the only piece that matters. And I think we can agree that your experience in high school is more rich if you do all of those things, right? Not just study for your math test. So those are some of the indicators we're looking at. Students need to get a C or better in math and reading, and math and English. That's an indicator. If you don't earn a C or better in those subjects, data suggests that you're not college ready. So what are we doing if a student doesn't get a C? Are we just going to let it go? We're going to work with that student to make sure that they have the skills that they need to be successful in math. I would suggest that we should be doing the latter, right? So those are some of those focus areas. So we took all 23 of these indicators, which again will be are approved by our board, hopefully in the next couple of months here. And then we pulled out these different attributes. Essentially, we sat down, we looked at all these different pieces, we analyzed our vision, and we said, what does all this mean? And how do we present this in kind of a family-friendly or student-friendly focus? So you're the first people to see this. The first people to see this image and to see the direction that we're moving. So just from a profile of a Wilson graduate, from a student experience standpoint, from the lens of creating an environment where kids love to learn, we're focusing on creating life, career, and college-ready graduates. Life first, need to be ready for life, all of us. We all need to be ready for careers, right? You need to get a job. That's a goal of every adult, to be employed. And many of you are going to go on to college. But again, I would challenge that not everyone has to have that as part of their journey. So from that lens, these are things that we were able to pull out. So the Wilson School District is committed to, just quickly, creating knowledgeable, healthy and well-rounded, skilled communicators and collaborators, civic-minded and financially literate, critical thinkers and problem solvers, empathetic and inclusive-minded people, responsible and ethical decision makers, and resilient and confident people. So this image online, actually you can roll over it and you have access to all of the indicators down below. So it digs into it a lot more deeply. So the work we'll be embarking on from the life, career, and college-ready perspective really revolves around these 8 pieces of this wheel. Again, much more information to come on this particular piece and how it will impact you and impact your experience in our schools. It could impact your schedule. It could impact the types of classes that you have offered to you. It could empower you to have more voice in what classes we offer. It could empower you to say, hey, Dr. Weber, we need to change this whole system and go in a different direction because I don't think it's doing this. We have a financial literacy class, but it's not giving me the skills I need to move into college. If it's a focus, it's where we're going to put our resources. So now that we have a more clearly defined focus, I think it will make our organization more efficient, and the output should be a better experience for all of our students and our families. So thank you so much for being a part of this. Hopefully you learned a little bit about our vision, the work that we have before us over the next 3 years, and especially the final part here on a little bit of a preview of what it means to be life, career, and college ready. Thank you so much for your time and appreciate all of your attention.